Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome back, fighters, to another episode of What Do It Do. This time I'll be going over another deck that's been constantly affecting the meta, as I would like to say, Levidras Empireo. So, once again, this is a series designed around just kind of like introducing people to stronger decks, maybe if they want to play them or not, it's up to you, but it's generally designed to give you a breakdown of how these decks work, so that way it'll give you some ideas rather of how to combat these when you go up against them. But as always, I appreciate everybody for sticking around and enjoy. Alrighty, so as per always, I will like to start off these videos by explaining the ride line for each of these decks, just to kind of give you an idea of what it's going to do, and then I'm going to transition into some of the more common cards that you may see in these deck builds for these decks. So starting with Levidras Empireo, we've got Stag Nipper Dragon. Yes, name sounds weird. That's the grade 0, just your standard grade 0, go second, draw first, or go second, extra draw. Now, Score Piercer Dragon, the grade 1, this one is a bit special. So, when you are going from grade 1 to grade 2, you can ride from the ride deck without discarding a card, as long as Stag Nipper Dragon is in your soul. Now, your grade 2 will be your Manti-Scythe Dragon. This one gets the effect off of a Levidras ride. So now for the grade 3, more often than not in the ride deck, there will just be a copy of Levidras Empireo. They do run extra copies for Persona rides in the deck as well, but Manti-Scythe Dragon is going to then activate where you can Energy Blast 3, and then you check the top 5 cards, you can grab a grade 3 or lower and add it to your hand. But Levidras Empireo also is, the meat and potatoes of this deck is a grade 3 deck, turn 3 deck. So it'll gain an additional 5k for each original Levidras card in the soul, and it'll get access to the divine skills. So what you'll do is you put a card from your hand into your soul, or you counterblast 1, and then you can place your Infinity Eyes markers. These are wonderful little creations. Basically, what an Infinity Eye marker does, when placed onto a rear column, you either give plus 10k to the cards on your side of the field, or if it's on your opponent's side of the field, during battle, you can activate the marker and remove 10k power from the rear guard unit attacking, and you get to draw an additional card. So this is basically your Levidras Empireo skill with the Infinity Markers. But for it to gain access to the Divine skills, it has to have a copy of the original Levidras in the soul. Otherwise, it cannot use those Divine skills. So now I will transition into some of the more standard units you may come across in this deck. There's going to be the grade 1 Foxhill, Full Knowledge Foxhill. This card will, if this card boosts grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levidras in its name, it'll gain plus 5. But if it boosts Levidras specifically, it gets an additional plus 2. So it can boost any card as long as Levidras is out, it'll give it plus 5. But if it's boosting Levidras specifically, which more often than not they will place it directly behind it, it'll get a plus 7. And then after battle, you can counterblast 1 and it'll give back row unit an additional attack, and it gives that targeted unit an extra 10k. Now there's the Inquisitive Squirrel. I don't know how to pronounce this, it's just spelled like squirrel, so I'm gonna say squirrel. So during the battle, when this card boosts, you can Soul Blast 1 and move it to an open rear column with a marker, right? So any one of the any one of the back row rear columns with a marker, you can slide that card over after it boosts, and just basically boosting like any of the front row Vanguard saw. There is the Skullclaws Huntsman Huli. This one's a grade 2. So this card will basically revive any grade 3 or lower unit from the drop. To do this, it has to be placed on a field with a marker, and it has to you have to counterblast 1 for that. I'm sorry, brain dropped for like 2 seconds, but it's okay, we're good. And then there's an Autogaster. Now this is the grade 2. You can energy blast 3 on place. Look at the top 2 cards. You get to add 1 of those cards to your hand, and you can put the rest on either the top or the bottom of the deck. This effectively will allow you to trigger stack, because say you place him and you check 2 cards. One of them is a trigger and the other one is a unit, or it could be 2 triggers or what have you, right? Essentially, you can take the unit, add that to your hand, and then place a trigger on top. Now, if you get 2 units, you just grab whatever the higher priority unit is, and then if you need this other one for later, you can place that on top or slide it under the bottom. It's either one of the 2, whatever you prefer, right? And then there's Panthrat as well. So this card, when placed on a rear circle with a marker, it'll gain plus 5k until the end of the turn. But if it's in the same column, then you can choose another rear guard and it'll get an additional plus 5k instead. So essentially, you can place this card on the column and then choose, I think, another unit within the same column and give it an additional 5k. Now, after it attacks, it does retire. You look at the top 7, and then you can this basically allows you to search for your copies for your original Levidras or an Empireo for the sake of a Persona ride. Now, on to the OG Levidras, right? And I will go into the Divine Skill as well. So, OG Levidras, Destined 1 of Infinity Levidras. So this card, you can't just place a hand into Soul to add markers. You do have to activate other effects. Now, as far as its Divine Skill, this is specifically if your opponent's on grade 3 turn. You Soul Blast 1 card, and then you choose 1 rear circle on each player's side of the field, and then you add a marker on them. Now, this gives the card an additional 10k power and an additional crit until the end of the turn. So essentially, the deck is mostly formed around searching for copies of original Levidras to place them in Soul. Therefore, Empireo can activate Divine Skill and also place markers. The last grade 3 is probably one of the strongest grade 3s that I've come across doing these videos so far. Essentially, it can revive from drop, right? So if it's in your drop, as long as there are 3 markers on the field and there's no rear guard with that name, or with Knight of Fermosity Charmanet, as long as it does not have that name already on the field, you can Soul Blast 1 and then call it to rear guard. So you Soul Blast whatever. Now, if it attacks with a marker on its column, you can retire another rear guard on your field and it'll get an additional 10k. And then at the end of that battle, you retire that unit and then you draw a card. Right? So that's your basic standard cards that you're going to see in this deck just off rip. There are some things that I have seen that they do get ran kind of like a flex cards, just depending on the situation. Most decks will run these, but not a whole lot do. So there's a Dual Nation grade 2. I believe it's for Keter and Stokea, Apsonias and Sapphire. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I'll have it on the screen for you here. Maybe over here. I haven't decided where I'm going to put that yet. So basically, this card, after it's placed on hand, or placed on rear column from hand other than through the battle phase, you can check the top card of your deck and put it on the top or discard, counterblast 1, and then choose a normal order from your drop or a grade 2 or greater card from drop and call it to rear column. Now, as far as the orders go, there is the Mytheric Habitat. I believe I pronounced that right as well. We'll figure that out. You check the top 7 cards, choose 1 unit equal or less than to your Vanguard, call it to rear column, and shuffle. So essentially, this card, you can use this to search for your Panthrads, your Anantagasters, if necessary, a Foxil or a Squirrel, right? You can just use this card to search for any of those other units, which just let Levidras combos just kind of fucking like rock. So now another thing with Levidras, I will be getting into the combos. This deck does a lot in one turn. I've seen games where like the game will last like well over regulation time because it's Levidras. Also, funny story about a Levidras mirror, right? At my local. But yeah, they last well over time. So it's like, one of the things is like, don't try to rush this. Granted, you know, whatever your damage situation is or whatever theirs is. But from what I've heard, and I probably will be corrected on this later, if neither player is able to finish the fight within the allotted time frame, it's qualified as a double loss. I am going to look more into that myself because I feel like that's an important rule to know, especially trying to go into Summerfest, which is in a couple of months for me out here. But once they hit like turn 3, that's when everything starts popping off, right? So I do have a video I will attach into here somewhere on the screen, basically going over the Levidras combos, right? So in turn 3, you will discard your card to ride your Levidras Empireo. From there, you activate the grade 2 Ensouled Manta Scythe. You'll Energy Blast 3 to search the top 5 cards. Grab whatever you can. In this instance, you will be grabbing a Foxil, as there's 2 of them that are up here on the screen right now, I believe. And then you will take the copy of the original Levidras that you have in your hand, place that into the soul, do the skill of Empireo, and you get 2 markers. Now you can place your Anantagaster that's in your hand, back where we recall, Energy Blast 3. You'll search for 2 cards. You'll add one of these cards to your hand, and then the other one you add to the top of your deck. In this case, it will be a trigger. Now, after that, you place Panthrad, gives 5k to the column after it's placed on your marker. Then you place your Foxil. You have your Charmed and drop. This could be placed in drop, preferably if you see it early for ride to, like a discard to ride type scenario. It doesn't really, guard otherwise, but that's a good way to just kind of have that like already in your drop. So you play your effect Charmed from drop, place card in your rear column, or you place an additional card in your rear column, as Foxil will give it an additional boost in power, as it will be boosting the Levidras during the battle, and you transition into your battle phase. From there, right now we already have 4 attacks, roughly 5. Depending on how you want to use that last card. So, right, you have Levidras, you have Panthrad, you have Charmed, you have Anantagaster, and then Foxil, or not Foxil, I'm sorry, your 5th card, right? You have a minimum of 4 attacks at this point, right? So now this deck does generate a lot of numbers. If it's just going to be for 1 damage, that's fine. But obviously you must account for your trigger checks after the fact as well too, right? So as far as guarding strategies go, this is another one of those, just like the Bob Sagar situation, where these things will make big numbers, but if there's no crit, if there's no additional critical on top of that, the threat of the damage is lessened considerably. So in some situations, it may be okay just to take that 1 damage. As like I said, when Levidras activates its divine skill, it will gain access to that 1 additional critical. So that may be a priority for guarding, and given on, depending on the situation, right? That's a free perfect guard. Now, like I said, anything off the trigger checks, it only has a twin drive. Does not have any means of getting a triple drive currently as of this video dropping. So twin drive, right? PG to avoid the critical if it activates divine skill on basically turn 5 or turn 4, depending on who went first. And then just guard according to what triggers come out where, right? This game is still pretty top deck heavy. Yes, it can search, but if you see a card on top, after Pantherad. No, it's an Altagaster. I'm sorry. After an Altagaster, if you see a card placed on top, there's a chance it's a trigger. So you're probably going to want to guard that initial Levidras attack. Just on the off chance that trigger is like a front trigger or an additional crit or anything along those lines, not adding any extra damage onto the Levidras itself. Now, as far as guarding the other units, you guard them as you see fit, right? These things don't really stack criticals themselves either. It's just a lot of attacks in really big numbers. So you just have to focus on, all right, where's the effects going here? Make sure you're keeping count of triggers that have been activated as well, because then it's like the chances of them pulling this trigger are either higher or lower. I do believe they run the fronts for extra defense as well. So you'll probably be coming across maybe a four crit deck situation, right? But as always, I think that is going to cover it for this video. Once again, I appreciate everybody kind of like either waiting for this to come out or whatnot, right? I went on vacation, came back, it's been raining, the whole recording situation has been a mess, but I will try to have a schedule set with these. I don't want to do like 2-3 week waiting period again, but I will try to get this next one out in a timely manner, and it's probably going to be more focused on one of the newer decks that are just picking up in set 8, which is coming out in a couple of days from the time of this recording. Hopefully I'll have it out before set 8 drops, but if not, the next deck that I will be covering is going to be something that is getting extra stuff from set 8. But once again, thank you all for sitting around and enjoying my rambling. I will be back again soon, and make sure you all have a wonderful day.